your microphones during the guest lecture. For the duration of this session, any questions and inquiries that you might have, we do implore you to write them down for the Q&A segment. We'd also like to remind you that the application deadline has been extended to the 12th of April at 1800 JST in order to meet numerous requests and applicants. If not yet registered, please do so. We really look forward to seeing what people can create.
Without further ado, please allow us the privilege to introduce our esteemed speaker for today, Mr. Avisenna Gusta, who works as a producer at RGA. Let it be known that he won the Outstanding Thesis Award during his time here at Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University. Please refer to him as Mr. Gusta. He will be speaking on the topic of the future of advertising and how we should go about it.
With that, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause to Mr. Gusta. We really wish you the most sincerest of welcomes. Mr. Gusta, we kindly request you start sharing your materials.
Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for the welcome. I'm glad to see many people in here that really excited to hear my session. So thank you for coming and listening to me. And I think everyone seems so professional in here. So that sounds super cool. But again, I think let's making sure this session is going to be interactive sessions. And then I would love to get your response and anything that we got into that. So I would love you guys to enjoy this event. So I'll share my screen and then probably we can start kicking off. So yeah. And one more thing, don't get too serious. Let's actually make this more fun. Cool. Give me a second. Let me share my screen. All right. Oh, sorry. Before I'm sharing screen, I'll need to making sure that share audio is working. Okay. Oops. Okay. Cool. So hi everyone. My name is Gusta, and I think just to introduce myself, actually I'm from Indonesia. I used to study also in Ritsumeikan Asia Pacific University. Nowadays, I do a lot of video taking, and then also making a lot of prototyping. I'm also producers in my current job, as I actually already explained, and I'm quite tech savvy and do a lot of testing. So it is go. So I think first thing first, let me do a quick intro. I was the same as you guys. I was actually, graduated in APU. My APU time was really fun. It was my first time actually arriving in Japan, and then I've been learning Beppu. You guys, as you know, Beppu is a really different type of vibes compared to another city. I'm so surprised that everyone is taking onsen. And then I'm taking onsen every day, basically. So it was, it was quite amazing place. And then I studied marketing and advertising, and fell in love with Japanese TV program and commercial. So I mean, in your field, in the right side, as you can see, right, this is what my interpretation of Japanese. Japanese ads and TV program. I'm not too sure if everyone in here actually likes Japanese ads. If anyone can raise their hands or anything. Okay, cool. So yeah, and then I'm literally into it. Every single time, I'm watching the TV ads and everything, I feel it's just so different, especially compared to Indonesia. And that's the point that I'm getting into love Japanese ads. So yeah, and then I also because I love Japanese ads, and then I think I learned I want to study more about it, how actually creating cinematography and advertising. So I went to exchange program when there's no COVID. I think unfortunately within your time now, I think the exchange COVID, it was not really applicable, but long time ago, I think around 4 years ago, I got the chance to actually study in New York for cinematography and advertising. So I went a lot of places, Times Square. I get an intern also there, and then I just pick up a lot of stuff regarding cinematography. So I graduated and then I worked in my first, like job, which is, being an assistant video producers. My first job actually in called Septeni. It's one of like internet advertising company in Japan. They're quite famous, but then at that time they actually just started, their production in the house, and they have a need for, like for people to actually being able to do, creating a video and such. So I start my work, and then, like I did a lot of other stuff that I think applicable. Like there's a green screen that I need to shoot. Like I did like, flipping clothes like every, I think, in 5 hours, because like we just have a lot of clothes covered. And then like, I did like a lot of cool set, and then like stand in and stuff. So I think that's kind of like my interpretations of, when I was like working as a video producers there, as an assistant video producers for 2 years. And then after that, like I, work now in RGA as a tech producer. So this is kind of like the clients that I cover. Like I client Google clients, Shiseido, Unilever, Uber Eats, and Grab. I think those kind of like clients that I covered. Most of the things that I'm doing now is related to creating a website and apps, AR, VR, and stuff. So those kind of the things that I'm doing in here. Okay, I think that's all about me, and I think I'm just going to start jumping into advertising part, because again, I think that's why you guys coming here about advertising. So let me quickly jump in there. So objective for today is actually just talking about the glimpse of future advertising. I think what's really important when you come, whenever you guys feels like, understand about advertising, it really good to understand what is the future advertising and like what actually is going to be covered in the long run. Because just to be honest with you guys, what happened 3 years ago when I'm actually starting my job and now is just so different. I cannot emphasize more the differentness of like the changes. And I believe it will be good like now when you guys are university students, and I would love to join these sessions, but I'm not that smart as like you guys. So I didn't join this kind of like sessions. I'm like, hearing the guest speaker. So I think it was really great to have this, sessions to understand that. So kudos to you guys. I think that's one. Agreed. I think everyone struggled on that pandemic, but yeah. Cool. So I think first thing first, like I want to open these questions to everyone. What is advertising? In a sense, does anyone kind of like have a understanding? I mean, like anything is okay. I think we only have few people in here also, so feel free like to turn on your camera, unmute yourself. Feel free like jump in.
Well, I think like advertising is like a way to connect with the consumer, like telling a story through the ad or something.
Amazing. Telling a story and then connected consumer. Totally right. Anyone else? Capturing attention from people. Sounds good. Wow, you smart guy. I think I didn't realize that when I was like, working in advertising before. Where to get more like Sparrow. I think I like your style, man. I think that's interestingly correct. Cool. I think let me just like come in. So I think in general way, sorry guys, I'm just checking Wikipedia just now. But basically it's actually kind of like profession of producing like advertisement for commercial product and services. I think there's two parts in here that really important, which is like producing and then like product or services. Because like in advertising, it's basically you create something, you making sure that like there's something that you want to sell, or maybe like there's something that you want to promote or anything else. So you need to create some sense, like whether it's like on ads, whether it's just like a talk with your friends, and then like you kind of like create that as kind of like your if you're then product and services. When you're creating something, there should be a sense of you're selling that part, like what the specification that you're selling, whether you're selling, I don't know, a phone or maybe like a bottles or yeah. I'm literally just grabbing something from my table now, but that's kind of like, you know, the things that like you need to have something to sell in order to advertise something. And then it could be anything that regarding to even yourself, like, you know, when you say advertise yourself, that you're selling yourself. I mean, that sounds weird, but it means that like you're kind of like selling what can you do and such. So that's kind of like, you know, to show your benefit. That's kind of what you know by advertising as kind of you know, a general experience. But now, what is good advertising? And I think this is going to be the differentiate between all the things that come out outside of the market. Can anyone actually tell me, what do you guys think what is good advertising is? Like when you see something, I think someone say about the long man. Actually, that's also part of the video that I just like provide for you guys, and for people who doesn't know, probably can watch it later on. But can you just tell me, what do you think when actually this advertising is good? Like what your interpretations on that? Exactly. Good advertising is advertising that actually remembered. Nice. Come on, smart guys. Please just turn on your voice. I want to hear your voice. Entertaining, correct? Something that will leave mark. Okay, it's really good. Cool. Okay, before I'll reveal the answer later on. But again, this is my assumptions, and everyone have different interpretations, and hopefully this actually makes sense for you guys. Okay, so when we kind of like, you know, talking about advertising, it's really in kind of like in the sense of like what is movement during those time. So like long time ago in this is actually I just, you know, captured from my company, and then like I think it's really relevant for like we are understanding advertising as a whole. So when it's 1784, when the industry 1.0, there's like, you know, this mechanizations, water power, steam power, well, like the industry is 1.0, that's how they call it. And it keeps changing along the way when the electricity coming in, and then like computers automation also coming in, and now PC, mobile, and Steve Jobs coming in with their iPhone, and then Facebook coming with their Facebook, and sorry, Mark coming in with their Facebook, and Jack Dorsey coming with their Twitter and everything, and then it comes to social. And now we are in the 2010s, or I think 2020s, and when industry 4.0 is cyber physical system, IoT, cloud computing, and such. And now like we are AR, VR, voice, and smartphone. And the funny things about this deck, it was created just 2 years ago, but you can see how much like now we are so using a lot of AR. We also use a lot of like, you know, voice, smart home. It's just changing so fast. I think every second in our life. So when you see about that movement on the market, right? I think people tends to see from the habits of the audience. So whether before like it's just like reading, watching, and listening, but now it's reading, watching, listening, communicating, searching, and researching, comparing, shopping, and such. So people are changing their habits, and that's the key of advertising. Like try to step in on people's habits, and then you know, sell the stuff based on that. So whenever this is just kind of like point out when actually I'm doing my job in my 5 years experience now, a lot of it is actually just making sure what the people are doing now, what is the current trend, what is actually hypes, what is the insta buy things. So a lot of that actually our starting point when we try to sell something, or maybe when we try to advertise something. So understand the habit of people is really important in this realm. So I think as overall, and this is just my answers, like a good advertising is adaptations. It's being able to adapt with the conditions of the market. And then this is the reason of like, I think the answers that like many people are coming, like how the advertising can be marked in their life, how can they become remembered, and how the customers can connect with their product. Because basically, in order for people to be connect with those advertisement and the product, there should be a bridge, right? And then this bridge needs to be adapt with the product. So a lot of adaptation is really important for advertising in a sense. And as you can see, like this clone, like, like trying to be adapt and clone that. That's kind of like, the way that we need to see advertising as a whole. So I think just kind of like coming in, and I think people are quite, I also like to just to get your opinions about this. And I think for people who actually attend my lesson, I think previously in different kind of like market, I think I already have watched this. But then I just want to know, what do you guys feel about this ads, especially for women? I want to hear your voice on this. I mean, as you guys,
when I see this, what comes to mind is that, okay, are they targeting specifically a type of woman? So maybe they are targeting women, and they see a woman that's like, you know what, I want to be like her, to try to strive like her. Now, obviously, men are going to see this. Maybe men are going to be thinking, I want to be with her. So there is that type of, I find her attractive. So women want to be her, men want to be with her. Maybe that could be. Then again, it just depends on how they look at it.
Exactly. Wow, Kai, you're so smart. That's what, I need to be like that before. But yeah, thank you for explanation. Is there anything else? Like, okay, that's good. I think that's good to get to know your interpretations about this ad, like how you interpret, like from different kind of like audience, when like the woman actually saying this, like, I want to be like her. For men, like they were saying it's like, oh, I want to be with her. That's actually a really good interpretation, because each of like, audience have different one. The things that like probably I want to get to know more is about like, what is your when you see this ads now, what do you guys feel about this? Is that, I don't know, is it eerie, or like, how you guys feel about this? And I want to ask for like woman side also. Do you guys feel like, this is not making sense for now? Like, I don't know.
I would like to add something to this. So when I look at these advertisements, the first thing that strikes me is not the products, but the models they've used. So it's much more than the product they're advertising. They're kind of advertising the ladies who are pretty, who are beautiful, that they think. So they're kind of advertising them. So they're making a fan base for them. So that's what I feel when I look at these posters.
Yeah, you're totally right. Anyone to add, or like, like last one before like I move to another one, and probably I add my comments also. But you're totally right, IDT, if I'm like, spell your name right. But yes, I think both of your answers is totally right. I think the way that we see in here, and then like actually this is my showcase also when I was in Septeni, and the first kind of learning that they do is that, like, how I can interpret this ads. And I think the funny things now in Japan, I think a long time ago, the way that like it sells hard is actually through women's. And I don't know why. I think I'm not sure if there's any Japanese in here. Thanks God, no. And I don't want to kind of like, making sure there's a bad interpretations, but the way that they are doing is that, like, I think woman is the kind of like the key of, how we can making sure they can sell hard. And then it still applies until now. It doesn't, I mean, it seems vintage, this page is same vintage, but for now, like, I think most of the ads in Japan still the same. They always use beautiful ladies, they always use like cute girls, they always use kind of like an interesting story on that part. And then that's how Japan interpret the way of like the marketing works. Probably it changed a lot now due to, like, we cannot, woman is not merchandise, the way that, like, the thinking through is so much different. A lot of like, I think the level one of like the woman is actually, a lot of people actually become CEO now. So I think this kind of like, really different interpretations. But then still, when you see Japanese ads where you see what cute moment. I don't say that's going to generalize everything, but that's actually still happening at least 2 years when I was there. And I think I want to show this, but it seems like everyone's already aware about this one. So I'll probably just kind of like run through this real, I'm just going to skip this, but I think the things that like I want to you guys, oh, okay. By the way, do you guys know what the long run is? Probably I just need to play a bit and then like I'll share with you guys. Give me a second. Let me know if the sound is actually good on.
どうしたの？
トールさんが避ける組咲いてる時の顔が好き。
そう？
もっと長く見てたいな。
Long, long, my... 危ないね、あの人。避ける組対長い避ける組。
Okay, I'll stop this before because it's live streaming and then like people will kill me if I keep playing this. But I think the context in here is just like, I don't know, it's hilarious. And then like how people actually really interpret this. This is kind of like a good ads because it's just like so relevant there in Japan and it's funny and really attractive for them. But then like I have a question, like, is it possible to run this in Indonesia? And then if there's any Indonesian actually in here.
I would say yes, but it'll have to be like at 1 in the morning, you know, when all the kids are definitely asleep and the parents are just like, hey, watching TV.
Well, like I would disagree because like even the kids can watch it and they're just thinking like, hey, big candy.
Because that's the goal, right? That's the goal of this ad. Like it's introducing this gum that actually can grow really, really long. And then that's how the interpretations of like, you know, on that. But yeah, I think that's really good and like relevant. So this is I mean, this ads actually happens like 4 years ago. And then like based on the research that they do, that they sell at least I think 30K per day after this ads actually run. It's just like hits a lot Japanese kind of like message. So it's super kind of like, you know, interesting. But yeah, how is that run in Indonesia or not? But I think I think it will be hard because it's not relevant for the Indonesia. I mean, it's kind of like relevant. People will understand it in a sense, but Indonesia is a country that like a lot of censorship country. Things not being going to be easy to be, you know, run through. So probably it will be hard to actually sell there. So this advertising somehow not really relevant there in Asia, but somehow it's relevant in Japan. So you can see where the context can be, you know, like it's really changing when you kind of like try to sell it, you know, like abroad or something like that. So that's how adaptation is really important, that you cannot just bring this and then throw it away to Indonesia. I think that's not the way that we can do there. Some of it probably yes, but yeah, that's one part. Okay, then there's another, oh, sorry, there's another one that I want to share.
TikTok で見たことないものを見てみよう。毎日がもっと楽しくなるかも。君が次に好きなもの。Meet your ex. TikTok.
Okay. So this, I mean, as you already know, TikTok is a big social, you know, thinking through, I'm sorry, social kind of like market now that like people are really using it now. This is one of the, I think it happens like 1 year ago when they kind of like just showing like meet your sounds really catchy in a sense, and then that's how TikTok always do. I've done a lot of TikTok ads and they always like that, like snappy, showing all the colors and everything. And then like my question is that like, how do you guys think if we implement this in US, whether do you guys feel this is going to hit? Or I mean, again, probably people are not so sure about the US market or yet, but how do you guys feel? Do you think this is a good entering point for people, you know, using this type of ads there?
I'm gonna
Or maybe
open
not
it up
US,
here
probably
because
other countries. Yeah,
Yeah.
sorry, go on.
I'm actually from the US as well. So with like actually implementing it in the US, this type of ad, I think the meet your ex slogan would probably have to be changed. Because that would have a different, meaning here. It'd be kind of like, I'm gonna go on TikTok and meet my ex. That sounds awful. I'm not gonna use TikTok. But in terms of like the actual visuals and everything, it's very similar to the ads I've actually seen when I was still in the US.
Wow. Yes, correct. Thank you so much for yes, I think meet your ex slogan is applicable in Japan, of course. And then this applicable because the way that they kind of like cover it. And then people are not really, I think when they say meet your ex, it's kind of like there's an X button there, and then like I think that want to kind of like, okay, meet your something that like you're not really define it that way. I think that's how TikTok should interpret it. But again, like I mentioned, it needs to be applicable. If you want to kind of like bring this something to other countries or something like that, like it needs to be making sure what is the right tagline and everything. So, that simple enough is just like, bring how different that actually is going to be effective. So I think what I want to tell you guys is that overall adaptations is to see these four stuff. First, user, who is your audience? I think Uriel, like you, if I mentioned, sorry, like I'm not sure if I'm mentioning your name correctly, but you mentioned that like who is the audience? Woman, man, which age, what time that they are going there, what is like what is their likable, who is in the country. That's kind of like really important for us to see what is the correct advertising is. And then culture, who is your audience in terms of cultures, whether like a culture is like a Muslim country, which is like Indonesia, that like showing all the censorship is not good, or are you kind of like going more into like broad, like Japan, that where actually everything seems okay. I don't say everything is okay, but when you run ads there, like a lot of like censorship was kind of like it's a second priority for them. Then after that, like a media, like how you would like to run the media, whether it's run in YouTube, whether it runs on TV, whether it runs even in email, and all of that. So media, it will be the key for you guys to actually enter to the audience. So to understand that type of media that we will use for ads is really important. There's one time in my case story where people actually we want to run a YouTube ads, and then during those time, like YouTube doesn't have a capability doing like like the portrait mode, and then but we need to shoot it from phone. So a lot of like learning process, like how we can making sure the media. I think most people in here probably knows how to upload a YouTube video already, but you can see like it's really important to know like what the spec is, what is where's like the skip buttons coming in, because I know how many people actually skipping button for YouTube. So understand whether the text should be coming over there or not. So it's important to understand what media that you're going to use for advertising. And the last one is relevancy. So relevancy means that like it needs to be relevant and kind of like really attached in your kind of like audience, whether this is met with your trends or not. And like this long man was hated when actually people quite how to say that. I think I don't know the backstory about that, but what they say is that like that long man was actually starting in the sense of like this grooming just started, and they want to kind of like attract a lot of men, a lot of women to actually eat the candy, because apparently not so many women in Japan that likes candy, and then like they want to attract that like funny story and everything, and then somehow it's a little bit sexual, but that's how they're thinking through it. That's how they kind of try to interpret the trend. Okay, cool. I think that's all in here. Do you guys have any questions so far, or do you guys have like like any notes or like quite things that like you want to add on this one? Again, this is my interpretations, and I would love for people to actually give an interpretation also. Cool. Roy,
Yes,
I think you're raising your hand.
Yep. So I just have a question. So you mentioned about the long man advertisement, and we also talked briefly, Sparrow Sparrow mentioned about, American culture and how advertisements are like there. I'd like to ask you as well, because culture is always changing, let's say an ad from the 1900s would seem controversial to, let's say modern viewers. I'd like to ask you, in advertisement, how do you actually determine when an ad is, let's say, too much, like too politically charged? Like, an example is, let's say, Gillette's ad. I'm sure you're aware of Gillette's ad. It was labeled as kind of like very sexist to men, and it was too politically charged. A lot of people boycotted Gillette, and a lot of people have the opinion that, well, Gillette's a razor company. It's like, why do I care what political agenda my razor company has? And Pepsi, I think they made a lot of advertisements about like that was politically charged, about protests and stuff. So like, how much is too much? How do you even measure that?
Wow, Roy, I think that's really good questions. And then somehow, how to say that? Like from my experience in my, advertising life until now, we always trying to go too much most of the time. And then the clients will be the border of, oh, we cannot go here. And then sometimes the stoppage is actually on the client side. But we I think me as an working as agency that we work like towards a lot of like clients like in Google and Sedu and everything, like a lot of them, right, Roy, have their own brand guidelines, and then those brand guidelines is actually our like measurement whether things actually go too far or not. A lot of even like I can give an examples like Google, just an example. We tend to, there's like a certain way of like conveying an informations that like we cannot really say too broad or maybe like too focused into one group only. Everything needs to be natural because Google is a big search engine in the world and they want to be natural. So that's already predefined on the on the client side or maybe like on the type of brand that they're doing. So brand guideline is going to be the first key. But the second thing is actually believing your guts itself. So sometimes a lot of like these cultures, like you mentioned yourself, it changes all the time, right? And then I think that's actually quite relevant with these adaptations. I think for you or like for people who actually really wants to start, advertising, like this understanding about how trend change all the time will be the key for you to be able to success on the ads that you're going to be running. So I think I'm not sure if I'm answering your questions, but I think that's the part that like first see the guidelines, and second is like to understand the trend that's going too far, and then believe your guts. I think that's the third one. And then when it's out, people will backlash you. I think we cannot really, it's happening, and then that actually is wrong. But then a lot of the things that like it's long time ago, like 5 years ago, to have an Asian woman to actually, like being a model for, to have, I'm sorry, but like to have oversized Asian woman to actually add gaps, like clothes gaps ads, it's impossible. But now Nike is doing it, Adidas is doing it. If you see the apps that they have, it's actually all this, having this kind of like, like oversized woman to actually, oversized bra and everything. Because now like people are open to that. Like, in US, like everyone is doing that. And also even in Japan, like many artists starting to kind of like, oh yeah, oversized is not a bad thing, it's a good thing. But can you see like 5 years ago, no one is like that. So, there should be like, like a certain point that you are novel enough to actually enter that system and like try to fight it back. So that's like actually
timing.
That's, and also you're right, the timing, right? And yes,
thank you very much. That was a fantastic answer, Mr. Gusta. Thank you very much for that.
Thank you so much, Troy. I mean, good questions. You're a smart guy also. Cool.
I got a question.
Yes, cool. Sounds good.
So you're talking about culture with users and being relevant. Obviously when you go, let's say you get a target audience, it's going to be different from Europe target audience to Latin America. Now let's say, and then you go ahead and do your research. All right, Latin American, what are they? All right, but now let's say you're advertising towards a subculture, or let's say a small demographic. For example, APU, multicultural, right? What's the first step to understand the user, the culture, and the relevance of the people mixed, coming from different parts of the world with different backgrounds? How would you go ahead and start with getting to know the audience in a mixed environment?
You're really entering the point of reaching the audience, researching everything. That's really good questions. And I think a lot of our team, even in RGA or in many agencies, is still figuring out that stuff, Uriel. And let me kind of answer you in the sense that how I'm going to approach it. So I think in a sense, right, when you kind of try to start start on advertising, there's always go to part in terms of producing and what is your what is your stuff that you're going to sell, what is your product and services. And it's really important first to understand how your services and product to be relevant to each of these subcultures. You need to find a key points, highlighted points that's traits for each of audience. Just an example in APU, when we try to kind of just say a Thai curry in cafeteria. Oh my God, I miss that Thai curry so much. But the Thai curry, right? Everyone is really like that Thai curry. There's a sense of trait that those things actually connected to each other. So I think the first key when you try to kind of promote your services into specific subcultures, you need to find a trait. You need to find that connections, that making sure that even all of these country people that coming in, they still into one things, and somehow it's a Thai curry. So that's the reasons why Thai curry is really famous there and everyone actually eating it, right? And then they even sell it now in APU Corp when I just came, I think last 1 year. So that's important. And then a lot of research for that, and a lot of testing, and then making sure that people are liking that. And then it's good to really understand the flow of when you do the research. There's a different way. Are you going to do an experiment? Are you going to kind of doing interview and all of that? It's a lot of groundwork, but then you will find out what things that actually really match. And then again, that's also the way that you kind of we cannot please anyone, and advertising is always cannot please anyone. Yes, people will hate it. Some people will hate it. Some people will not will love it. Some people are just going to do crunchy on the YouTube and give some notes. So that's, you will able to do that. But at least if you can hit at least 20% of your audience, I think it's a win. It's always like that. 20% of that, it's going to be your revenue growth for at least 2 years. So just come making sure that, and then you retain that, you making sure people are keep growing. I think, I don't know, just say that if Vietnamese people doesn't like Thai curry, and then you make a version that Thai curry that's good for Vietnamese people. So you kind of start experimenting in different way, and you can branch out. And that's how iPhone it's working, right? Start from iPhone 3, and then some audience like this feature, camera, they're adding more feature on the iPhone 5, and then more feature on the video because people are taking video more, and iPhone 8 where the camera is really good. And then after the iPhone 13, that you can even erase people now in your image without editing it, without you just swipe, and then you can erase the people. So how advanced is because people are getting advanced, and that's the reasons why. Cool. I hope I answer your questions, Uriel. But yeah, let me
definitely. Thank you so much.
Okay, let me just show this how, and then I'm not sure if everyone's aware about this video. And it is actually a really good video that actually win an award in at Age and also Camps. So yeah, I'll show you this.
Hi, and welcome to this very natural setting. Today, I want to talk about a revolutionary approach on how to connect our world without being super weird. Some said it's not possible. Some said it's out of reach. To them, we say it's already here. Seriously, look, it's right here. And what do we call this not so new chapter in human connectivity? The Iceland verse. Enhanced, actual reality without silly looking headsets. In our open world experience, everything is real. And has been for millions of years. It's completely immersive, with water that's wet. With humans to connect with. You're human, right? Isn't she funny? In the Iceland verse, there's real moss you can look at, but please don't touch. It's very delicate. Skies you can see with your eyeballs. Volcanic rocks you can caress. Really big geysers you can observe from a safe distance. Birds you can watch. They're really cute, but a bit stupid. Waterfalls you can stand near, like this one, that one, this one, that one, and even this one. Horses you can ride, with hair you can touch. The Iceland verse is a world with possibilities so endless, they'll be here forever. So join us today, or tomorrow, or whenever. We are really easygoing. Now, please.
All right. Okay, I'm going to stop this because it's quite, long in a sense. But yeah, I think some people are actually correct in here. So I don't need to ask what is this covered, but yes, you're correct. This is actually a parody of Meta, when Mark Zuckerberg actually just open, their change from Facebook to Meta. And they are really trying to change this Iceland verse of copying of Meta, and then actually it's a real word. So this ads actually winning 3 awards just so fast on the 2021, and I think it's become a top ads the 2021. And then I think after that Iceland, people are coming to Iceland and try to booking in Iceland after they're going here to actually really utilize that. You experience what this guy actually is saying. But this is the show of how relevancy, and then how actually is really connect to the users. And then this video is appearing 1 month after the Mark Zuckerberg actually launched out this. So people still have Mark Zuckerberg is doing this and stand up and all the metaverse, it's really kind of really related. People are oh my God, this guy is on second verse of Mark Zuckerberg, and then it's just so authentic in a sense. So that's how you hit, and then how people actually really cover that. People actually really like this ads in a sense. Then there's this that I want to show you guys, and then do you guys know what ads actually are covering for this one? I think I will not ask Sparrow because Sparrow is American and probably American knows about this. But sure, Sparrow, you can go. You can go. Yes, correct.
Can Veer got it, so I don't think I need to do it.
Yes, it's a Pepsi ads. And then this as also a best 2021 ads. And then you guys know the reasons why?
Yes, it looks that's pretty cool. I just saw they're highlighting the circle, and it's the symbol of the Pepsi, correct? Of the crinkled up bags of, I think that's Burger King. In the center is McDonald's. I don't know what the far right is.
Wendy's.
Wendy's. All right. So I guess either their wrapper or their bags that you end up getting from the fast food restaurants.
Yeah.
That's clever.
Yeah. It's super authentic first. And second one is super simple and make people actually just stop when actually, you know, looking at it. And then like, you know, it's really great, right? When you just see that icon that can be just merged into different one. And then it seems so normal for people, because when people come to, you know, like a Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's, you will find like, you know, Coca-Cola or maybe like, you know, Pepsi and such. But then like when you show this like how stand out Pepsi, people will kind of like start buying Pepsi. So I didn't know how much sales that they get after this, but eventually this ads actually went super high and then even getting work. But yeah, so, and then actually it's one of like our creative directors, like our competitors' creative directors that like work on it. So our company is quite jealous on creating something like this. But yeah, that's kind of like, you know, the key, sir. So thank you so much, guys, for participants. And I think I'll probably just run through this a little bit faster, so I can jump in with what the future advertising in a sense. So you guys know traditional advertising, TV, ads, billboard, print. You know, like all of this is like traditional advertising, right? And then the reasons why it's called traditional advertising is a lot of it because they call it a buzz advertising, where like, you know, the idea of creating those is creating a buzz for a lot of people. So people knows that. So they see whether these ads actually working based on how many people will know about it. So sometimes they run research, like, you know, how long where did you see this, when, and then like how long you feel, do you want to buy or something like that. So they will kind of like implement that kind of like type of research across the people over there. But then now is the internet, the worldwide internet, and then like everyone actually knows and about internet, and then people are changing their kind of like, you know, their marketing level from that ads into from the TV ads or billboard ads into internet ads. And then you can see a lot of those ads will be driven by data. So this is what happened actually before in my first company, that we are so driven in terms of data, like how many people are clicking the ads, how many people are you know, like how many people are watching the YouTube video, and when they're stopped, when they actually skip the button. And then it's really applicable to kind of like Spotify. I mean, as you know, like whenever you play a Spotify, right, you will, I think in certain year that you will get like, okay, try this, and then you just favorite, they will automatically create your genre on that part. So driven data, that's actually the normal, the insightful, and then you can get the insight based on that, and it's real, it's a real number. So that's how the current advertising is actually running out. And then we are moving to something that like more interesting than data. So what is future, you think? What do you guys think about like future advertising? I know that probably I have 8 more minutes, but yeah.
Well,
I'm
I
gonna
personally
start
think...
appearing in my dream.
Yeah, go ahead. No, sorry.
No, please go ahead, please.
Well, I think that right now the trend is to like make ads as short as possible. Like people are using like YouTube Shorts, TikTok, and Instagram Reels more these days. So they're trying to, like, when they're selling products, I see that they're trying to like make it as short as possible, because our attention span has become a lot smaller than before, I guess.
Yeah. Oh, Roy, do you want to raise your hand?
Yes, I think the future of advertisement will be so there's a term I'm sure we're all familiar with, you know, business students, right? If you are not, you know, it's like demographics, right? It's like your target market, who is this advertisement for? Who is this product for? I think in the future, let's say next 30, 40 years, because there's not going to be so many technological increases, like not so much anymore, because we're all used to the PCs, we're all used to smartphones. I think we're going to see advertisers target less on like a specific generation and more like to try to all band together and more or less unify all these generational differences, because that way, when you create an advertisement or you create a product, the product is for virtually every generation. So that is kind of a method in which future advertisers can try to get more customers and actually try to bring more revenue for their products, for their countries, by kind of homogenizing the differences between these different generations in their advertising. So like, for example, the Gillette commercial, my parents were not so aware of it because they don't really spend a lot of time on YouTube and such.
Exactly.
So unless you broadcast that commercial on, let's say, Netflix, they watch Netflix, yeah. So because of that, they're not so aware of the advertisement. They don't really see it. But less and less people are using cable TVs now, you know. So they're using the internet, they're using YouTube now.
Yeah.
So how about the next 2 to 3 generations? Probably will all be using similar applications, right? So advertisers probably want to try to combine with this. Yeah, that's what I gotta say.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that's really good assumptions and like interpretations for that. I see a future advertising. I'll run through this more about this. A lot of it now, like it's kind of like homogeneous. Like people are going to Instagram to actually run their ads. They're going to Facebook, and then like they run to Twitter, Google ads, and then like Yahoo ads and such. So a lot of it, like it's quite monogenetic in a sense. Like people are going to specific, platform, and then they use that platform to gather all the data, because that's right. With data, you actually have the, like right number, and then that number is going to be your identifier of how you actually going to run your ads, and then like whether people actually clicking the right spot and everything. So that's what's now, and then homogeneous. But I think future advertising, right? What I see is a little bit different from like most of people. I see it's kind of like a way that like they conveying ads is no longer just us to seeing it. Like, oh yeah, this is a cool ad, this is a good ad. Like the interpretation is no longer, oh yeah, this is a cool ad, I'm going to buy it. Like it's really kind of like showing you on how you actually going to experience it, like in the sense that you are really using it, or you are really eating it, or you are going to be interact with it. So a lot of this one is like, I think one of I found it is like pull ads, where like you actually can see whether like what do you want to have in your cheese, like whether you want to have a hot shot bacon or like green bean broccoli, and you will see directly how it will look like, and then you just like swipe right or swipe left, like Tinder, in a sense, and then like you will be able to actually see what's going on. And then a lot of ads now, like you can playable, like you can play for like 1 minute and you get a coupon or something like that directly, and then like fans actually doing it really great and have a lot of sales just doing that. And also there's like a testing while you just like try on directly with your AR or VR, which is the augmented ads. So a lot of like trying over there, right? And then now, like if like Instagram and also like TikTok has been doing this quite, I think 1 year ago, when you can actually just take a picture of this like Kate Spade, and then you click the pictures and you can buy directly, go directly to the site. It's one-stop solution, man. Like you see cool pictures, God damn it, I want to buy it. You click it and you want to purchase it. That's how advanced. And this is happening 1 year ago, guys. 1 year ago. And I don't say this is like a real, this is not what's called again, it's still not future in a sense, because we are here now. And I think if you guys know this woman, do you guys know this woman? Okay, no one knows.
Not at all. No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, and actually, this is not a woman. This person is not even human. So this actually a virtual influencers called Ima, super famous in Tokyo, super famous around the world, branded Nike, branded all the people are struggling even to get this woman that not even real to influence this thing. This woman even go to the Paralympic in Japan, and then like have her face showed across the, like everyone. but this woman is not real. So you just search Ima is a virtual influencer, and you just have like so many followers of this person. So you can see like how the like this actually really changing a lot. Like we're not even using human to actually advertise something. So so yeah, it's just kind of like really covered. Oh, sorry, Roy, you want to say something also?
Yeah, just a very quick question. I mean, how different is IMA compared to what's going on now with, let's say, a lot of VTubers? You walk to the Lawson, you walk to the Family Mart, and we all know that it's more like an online personality rather than a real person. They don't even look like real people, they're playing a character, let's say. We know it's not even their real personalities, it's kind of staged kind of thing, but like how isn't it just kind of like a mascot? Is it really a new innovation, or is it just, I don't know, repackaged past mascot?
I mean, we can get it in several ways. I mean, the idea of this actually quite similar to like VTubers, where like like virtual YouTubers that like actually there's one person in the green screen and they're dancing, and then like that actually a virtual woman. I think the how to say that, like this is just like my point of view about the virtual YouTubers, or like like virtual influencers in sense. I think a lot of them is actually the same. But the important part that you need to look in here, right? The problem that they try to solve, these advertisers, is trying to making sure like how people can not how we are not kind of just an example. If there's like so pretty woman, right? There's so pretty artists out there, and then you're trying to actually get a talent from there, they will ask you about like the contract and such, right? And then along the line, I think 10 years after that, like that talent is actually getting old, and then like they have like problem on the like they're married with someone that is not good, and then like your brand that attached to that person is getting bad, like it's getting bad, like because somehow that person is represent your brand, and your brand is getting bad because of that person's activities. But then with your virtual influencers, people, this human for it like cannot die first. The second one is a long lasting, and they're always beautiful all the time. So, and then you can change your colors. You can change Ima to, like a black woman or an Asian woman. And then there's a lot of like, you can adapt and personality based on what you want, based what audience wants. And that's actually really getting into the step where we getting relevant with the audience. So it's really important to see from that perspective in a sense. I know a lot of them seems like a mascot and everything, but the biggest reasons why they are so hyped is because they're so relevant. Now you can pick and choose. It's just like, oh, Ima is doing this and so beautiful and everything. And then like, if I want an Asian guy, you just like find another virtual influencers that like an Asian woman. So it's, and then like, if you want something that like more kind of like, 2D animation or something like that, you can find like virtual YouTubers, like, I forgot one name that really famous in Japan, but yeah, you can do that. So it's really getting into that state of like how important these virtual influencers and the technology behind it. So I think my kind of like finalizations of like, I'm sorry, like probably running out for 2 minutes, but I think the future advertising is no more longer about seeing, but doing. A lot of it, like you really test it out, you really trying it out, and then like, cover it. And I think one part that I want to show you, like this kind of like, makes sense. So this is my selfie with pineapple, which is not really interesting at all, right? But then if you see this person, do you guys know what is this? This also, so the first one is a selfie. So this is also a selfie.
No, I'm not sure. No, I don't know.
Okay. So this one is actually really famous. It's not a famous guy at all. So this Indonesian guy captures their selfie for 3 years. And then they put it in this called OpenSea, which is they call NFT. I'm not too sure if you guys heard about NFT before, but NFT is basically a non-fungible token where you can actually sell as a digital art, basically. And once you sell to someone, that someone can have their property as part of that. So it's kind of like a JPEG, but you own it like property. So this guy,
somebody actually bought it.
yes, and you know how
No,
much,
wait, no.
you know how much
No.
they bought this?
No, look, I have a phone right now. There, I just took a picture of all those pictures. Now, like, so what? Can he sue me? Like, NFTs are ridiculous. They're not like a piece of land. They're not like food that you can eat. You can't. What can you do with an NFT? How is their value even based? It's ridiculous.
Yeah. I mean, just to answer, it's actually cost 1 million USD for the amateurs. So I think it's a good questions, Roy, about like this is not really covered, but yeah, that's really 1 million USD covered. So like that's really important to understand like how it's actually covered. Okay, cool. Next one. This is actually wedding pictures. Also myself. This wedding pictures, right, like seems like all the normal like pictures and everything, but then like how if we actually thinking about different way. So now this actually just happened 2 days ago, and then this So it's one of like the clients that actually I'm working on now, and then like we are working into kind of like a close up like a toothpaste brand, and then they actually have this kind of like a brand what's a brand campaign called Love for All. So the idea is actually showing people can be loved. Like love is something that like integrated by race, age, and then like religion and everything. So they want to kind of like open like love actually for everyone, and then that's kind of the thinking through. So just 2 days ago, they just launched a campaign where you actually can get married in Decentraland, and then they will give you an NFT of like a certificate, a real token certificate for free, but only for 10 couples and everything. So it's really amazing now. Even the wedding that we used to think that it will be like like a real place, which is of course is nice to have a real place, but somehow it's also can be happen in this kind of like segregated place, which is Decentraland. And this is really kind of like showing how the subcultures that you mentioned, Uriel, like how we try to approach the subcultures over there. Like with now on all this future advertising, they're trying to enter like different stuff, because people are trying to go really so like mainstream, but now how we can actually enter like that sub mainstream that actually appear under that mainstream to get more audience over there. So that's how the thing is over there. Okay, and then like I will jump this real quick, and then how now we understand the future advertising, we understand like how we're going to interpret, and somehow you kind of relate that like this is really related with technology. So there's 2 things that you really need to think through on the future advertising. There's like mindset in general. These 2 words is really important on the mindset and like in general. So what mindset? And I think I'm just going to run through this now. So now, like, what do you see if you see this horse? Do you see something weird about this mindset? And sorry, this something weird about this horse. This horse is stalled, and then there's a chair over there. This horse is not moving. And this is really famous psychologist kind of like text point. What do you think that like what happened to this horse?
I think the horse just feels like it is just tied down to something and it cannot move, because like this is very common for a horse to be like shackled up to some wooden structure or something. So usually it can't move. So I think it conveys similar mindset.
Okay, no, you're correct. So like this horse is not moving because it got tied into this chair, right? And then you're totally right, Tanfir, that like because this horse is already get used to like have that fixed mindset that like this is the way that we're going to do. That's how it happened. And then this type of mindset is happening because it keeps these horses keep trained that way, right? Like if there's something tied to there, you shouldn't move. That's how it treated. And this mindset cannot be, I don't say that it cannot be working, but I think it's reluctant to be helpful for understanding the future advertising. We need to have a growth mindset. And then like what I mean growth mindset is like mindset when we see a few challenges, setback, when you kind of like start believing, oh, you're going to struggle with certain skills, you will think that like that abilities aren't set in stone. So that's mindset is really important for us to really understand on how we going cover like the future of our advertising, because what people already understand, the future advertising is always changing, the culture is always changing, the trend is always changing. How we can make sure that actually is captured, that it's really important, the growth mindset. So now there's another things, which is specialist and generalist, and I think the second one is generalist, right? And then like I think I'm just gonna run through real quick and then probably end this so you can have like Q&A sessions. But specialist is people who actually concentrate in probably specific particular subject or activity, which is amazing. I think some people actually quite gentle specialist. But then like there's a generalist where someone who's actually broad knowledge across topics and expertise in a few. So this one is really important. I'm not sure if you guys know this woman. Okay, this woman is generalist, and I'm not sure if you know this woman. So this woman is Anna Delphi, and Anna Delphi is the person that like actually working. If do you guys watch Inventing Anna in Netflix? Oh my God, I kind of like promoting people movies now. So Inventing Anna is a real woman, and this woman. So the story about this Inventing Anna, right? I'll probably like show you the trailer later on. But this woman is actually have this. I don't say a growth mindset. At least that's from my understanding. She has the idea that she wants to sell it to everyone, even though like she doesn't have the capability. So she wants to actually create what's called again a foundations that actually there's no money on it, and then they try to sell it in kind of like really famous New York Wall Street people, and then like she just like working so hard, fake it, like make it to like fake it till she make it. And then like everyone is trusting her with almost $30 million. I think more than that, I forgot the number. And then like, it's just like really amazing. But actually she doesn't have the money. She doesn't have the money. She just like telling to people that I can do it. Like, this is the way that I'm doing. And then she learns a lot. She learns, like different languages. She connect with different people and everything. She do the stuff, but somehow she failed in a sense, which is like, that's the reasons why she actually get into the jail. But it's really kind of like showing you how growth mindset and also, being generalist will be really important to actually sell stuff, because once you can do that, you can do anything. I'm just going to move this because I think we don't have time. So I think there's two traits of this two mentality, and then it's actually doers. So I think it's coming back again where kind of like the difference, the future advertising to a different part, where a lot of it is actually kind of like try and then experiment and then you know, like just make things like being felt and success, felt and success, felt and success. So a lot of it, like, you know, with you doing stuff, you will get the knowledge, and then it's just going to be the ammunition for you. You will get connections, opportunity, novelty, and story. And it doesn't matter when you're going to kind of like start to run your ads later on in the future. And I think this 9% is really going to be a good advertisers in the future. Hopefully, I pray for you guys. But never forget, experiment, try, and do will be the key for us to understand and unlock what is the future advertising. So that's future advertising. And I just want to show this, like, which is this really cool. This is what happened yesterday. So that's how you will do future advertising. And this happened actually yesterday. So it doesn't really future advertising, but you can see how cool you can make things now in the future. Okay, I think that's all from me. Thank you so much for listening, and apologize for running out like for 15 minutes. But I'm glad that I hope this actually gives you a lot of, like, you know, interpretation about like future advertising, the current advertising, future advertising, and how you think you will do the stuff in the future if you want to join this type of industry. And I hope that everyone is excited to see that in the long run. Cool. I think that's all from me.
Thank you so much. We are humbled and inspired today by your wealth of knowledge, Mr. Gusta. We are opening the floor now for a Q&A session. Participants, please do not waste this opportunity. Those of you that have an insatiable curiosity for all things marketing, marketing majors, please seize this opportunity.
Sure, Aditi? Oh, okay, cool. If you have any questions.
Yes, so thank you so much for the amazing presentation. Learned a lot, so thank you so much for that. And before I ask my question, it's just a small disclaimer that this question comes from a very frustrated consumer. So my question is that about aggressive advertising. So whenever I'm on YouTube, I just want to see a video, but then two back-to-back ads are shoved up my face, or I'm just enjoying a drama and then not very subtly they do the product placement, and it's so annoying. So my question is very simple. I just want to know that does aggressive advertising and marketing really help? Because for me as a consumer, it's really annoying for me when the same product is being shoved up my face and I don't really end up buying it or using it. So I just want to know, what is it like what is your mindset regarding that?
Wow. Actually, I hate that ads also that keep coming and I keep skip the button. And I was thinking like, should I actually buy that? And I hope my old companies, because like we created all of that things. So I hope like I'm not doing that. I hope they don't hear this live streaming. But I think my mindset, right, Aditi, I think it's really good to understand and then how people actually really hate that. And I think that's the reasons why people are transitioning now in terms of like just making sure that you're showing, like you bombarded the people with the ads, but you actually can interact with the ads. And that's the reasons why a lot of ads that, you know, you can play around, you can actually like test it out and then everything. And then somehow now the system is getting smart, the algorithm, because they have all the data and everything, they're trying to make better targeting and then like, you know, better than bombarding. But I think my point of view of that, for now, the internet advertising, or we call it internet ads, it's going to be like that. And then that's going to be always make the consumers actually get angry. But somehow there's a certain point, right? Like when you kind of like skip the button, and then suddenly, oh yeah, probably like I want that kind of like, I kind of like need it. Like I don't know, my wife is saying that, or maybe like, oh, my friend's actually talking about that. And then like in somehow in the right time that I usually check it. But then I think demographic of like internet ads will be the key for that. And I somehow you are part of the demography that they say, oh, Aditi love, I don't know, pasta, or I don't know, or this makeup. I'm sorry, I didn't mention to that. But I think it will be still that they will go demographic. But that's the biggest reasons now ads is changing into like more doer ads, like we will test it out. So yeah, that's I hope I will answers your questions and how they cover it in the long run.
Yes, it does. Thank you so much. Hopefully I stop getting those ads. So thank you so much for your question. Thank you.
Yeah. One way to actually turn off that, like actually you turn off your cookies. I think that's the reason. So if you kind of like open your browser, right? I work in Google so long already, and then they always capture people with cookies. So you will always get bombarded with that if it's actually that cookies attached. So one way of doing it is like clear your cookies if you open Google Chrome and everything, and then we'll cover it. And then never just like accept all when like, you know, there's cookies stories are coming in when you open the website, right? And then that's actually the key of people who are gonna track you in the internet ads. So I don't want to make everyone, my brand, my company actually, you know, bankrupt, but yeah, always do that.
Okay, thank you so much for that tips, because I'm one of those people who just accepts all cookies because I never knew what those meant. So thank you for the tip. Thank you so much.
Cool, Tanfir, do you have any questions?
Yes, it's actually like more towards the videography segment of the like marketing. Like firstly, those ads are becoming shorter and shorter every day. So the producers have to be really creative, like how to put all the information, the important bits in that small video. And I just wanted to ask, like, when you're trying to produce a video, let's say it's 15 seconds long, how do you do the transition of those um, um, scenes? So I usually see in the on those 15 minute on those 15 seconds ads that they have like this 6 to 7 frames, and they transition from one frame, like maybe pan to the right or left. So how do you, like, when you're like producing, how do you envision those transitions?
Okay, so you mean like the idea of those transitions, like
Yes.
how it can come up? Okay, cool. To be honest with you, Tanfir, and then like I think just kind of like relevant for everyone, a producer's work is somehow we are not working by ourselves, but we also working with this person, like a creative director or like a creative team. So a lot of the ideas that coming in right Tanfir is actually coming from them. Like they will kind of like come up with this, you know, cool transitions, like they will do the animations. And then you will realize along the line, right, when you come to like type of like work in agency or maybe like in advertising world, there will be like separated department that like cover each of different. My role as a producer is going to be kind of like covering the budget, making sure that like I have the persons that like can do those type of things, and then like person who actually can cover all, you know, and then who are going to be strategized, what type of like, you know, the things that they need to create and such. So what I realized, and I think when I used to be an editor also, to be honest with you, and I used to kind of like come up with those ideas like, oh, how did the transitions? The best way for us to actually, you know, like really come up with ideas actually to watch a lot of videos and then like watch a lot of the transitions, a lot of like movies, and then I'm not sure if you are a videographer, Tanfir. If I mean, it seems like you are with the cool headset and then like cool camera and everything, but it's really important to actually, once you watch that video, right? This is I actually watched a master class, and then one of like is really famous Martin Scorsese, and Martin Scorsese said something like this: if you want to be good at editing or like, you know, movie cinematography, what you need to do is watch what other people are doing. That's what he said. Like even him, he watched a 1980s movie, 1960 movies, and then like that's how they can pick up the script writing, like, you know, the transition and everything. So somehow you will build your own way of editing, and then a lot of like replica. Like I like Kubrick. I like, like that movie that like really have a wide shot and everything. So there's a lot of that happening. So that idea always come up when you come first see others, because if the others has been doing it, then means it's not impossible for us doing it also. So I think that's how it come out transition. I'm not sure if I also answer your question, but I hope you can watch that and like make your own best transition.
Yeah, thank you very much. Like I heard like that there's a YouTuber called Peter McKinnon. Like he also said something similar. Like I watch his videos and stuff. So yeah, like it's each like as a videographer, like one needs to be creative and just take more references and make it my own, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much.
Yeah, and this also come with actually your school and everything. The innovation, there's no innovation in a sense. It's always a replica of something and you just make it better. It's always like that. Because so many new things are already in the world, right? And I think Roy mentioned this also, like, everything is already like new technology and everything. But what is different is just one slight things different and make that difference, and you can be, you can claim it as yourself. So yeah, just be careful of the disclaimer and then like just be right. But yeah, that's also one part.
Thank you very much.
Whoa. My God, guys, you guys so engaged on this. My God. What did I do during those times? I have to be smart like you guys. Go to school again.
Got us in an very interactive speech.
Yeah, this was an incredible interview. It's also because I guess maybe some of us feel a bit guilty because like we were hoping to maybe bring about like 50 participants with you, but yeah.
No, to be honest with you guys, like I don't really expect that, like I don't actually want to have a 50 participants because like I'm going to get nervous on that.
Oh,
but
okay, less
I feel,
engagement.
yeah, but then I feel it's really important, like how much that I can change in this team, and then like how much that you can grow in the advance. And I think this is the goal of the stations. So this is just my experience, right? And then like you guys going to create your own experience and then your own way of like doing advertising. And I really hope that you engage to the advertising. I think one last note that I want to give to everyone, and whenever people actually get advertising is hard. It's not easy, and then a lot of like learnings that you need to do, a lot of testing, a lot of stuff that you want to need covered. So I encountered a lot, like I cried a lot before again, and then I actually just like struggling and making sure I even work. I mean, like, this is between my work hours actually, and I need to work again after this, but it's hard in a sense. But then when you kind of like really own it, and then like, oh my God, like my ads is out there, or oh my God, like my things that like we created is there, my website is there, ads. So I think that's the reasons why being a producer for me is really related, because I like to create things and I like to see that, oh, this is my things that I work so hard about it, even as a small things. So I hope that actually it's going to be come to you all, you guys, that you will have that mentality. It doesn't necessarily is about advertising. It's about like, trying and doing stuff. That's also going to be important. Next one. Cool. Is that
Wow,
all?
thank you. Does anyone have any questions that, like, if you don't have a mic or something, you can't talk, you can also do them in chat if we have a little bit more time here for Q&A, if anyone has anything. Alrighty then. Well, with that, that'll be all for the Q&A session for now. Mr. Gusta, thank you so much for this and coming in and giving us this presentation despite your busy schedule. We really hope to hear more from you in upcoming academic sessions. Thank you once again, Mr. Gusta, and for Brian for the wonderful learning experience today and everything. It was really enjoyable. I think everyone looked forward to it.
Yes, and thank you everyone for your attention, and we hope that you've learned a lot. In order for us to continuously improve our academic sessions, we would like to request that you fill out the feedback form sent on the Zoom chat. We wish you a fantastic day, everyone. Thank you
so much, everyone. See you in the other world.
Thank you very
Bye.
much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.